Today, my friends, we have Michelle Phillips with us, and I'm so excited to dive deep into this because we've already talked. Sorry, we already talked without you, and we had a great time. And we were both very excited about coming on here because I think this is a topic that is near and dear to both of our hearts. Michelle, welcome to Beauty Uncovered.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I have been looking forward to this, and actually a few of my friends have been too, because your book is phenomenal, which any of you have heard of it. It's called Beauty Blueprint. Definitely should be taking a look at it. But what I really love about it is how it really empowers women and men to really kind of look at, but not just the external beauty, but also the internal beauty. So I want to know, how did this all kind of manifest? Because I've watched your career and I know what it takes to be behind camera and behind the scenes and do, makeup. For me, it was hair. And then to be in front of the camera and then go on to writing books and really how that's evolved. It's not just about the external beauty. So can you tell us, how did you get to this? Because I'm fascinated.
I know. It's so funny because my kids say, Mom, people ask me what you do and I don't know what to say. Because I think I do a lot.
My kids are like, she's on social media a lot.
Does she do makeup or what does she do? And it's so funny. But yeah, I started off as a makeup artist behind the scenes, working for network news at first. CBS was primarily my main gig. And I worked with Connie Chung, Dan Rather, ended up working with Katie Couric, worked with world leaders, athletes, some of the biggest athletes in the world, because I worked with NFL and all that. And then I ended up working with A-list celebrities doing movies, and then covers of magazine like Swiss Vogue and Maxim magazine are two that I did recently in the past few years. It was just such an amazing career, having the experience to be with people behind the camera and see, who they really are, and that they were just people too. And then when they got in front of the camera, they had to have this tremendous amount of confidence in who they were, because, it's really putting yourself out there in a vulnerable space, no matter what you're doing when you're on camera. And also, they would sit in my chair and tell me everything that was going on in their lives, and primarily a lot of their difficulties and their challenges that they were facing, but they had to go out in front of be in front of the camera and, walk and talk and act like nothing was wrong. And so I used to always see the beauty in who they were. And it was so incredible. And I wanted that so much for myself, because I was outwardly, I had this amazing career and very confident in what I did for a living. So professionally, I was extremely confident, but personally, I kind of was showing up as whoever everybody else wanted me to be. And I didn't even realize it.
That's like a very common theme, particularly with women. Very common theme.
Absolutely. I didn't have a role model. My mom was an amazing woman, but she wasn't a career woman. And she also was raised in the 1950s and 60s, where women were a little bit more subservient. They didn't stand up for themselves. They weren't assertive. And so my mom taught me to go for whatever my dreams were, but I really didn't know what that looked like.
I imagine that is a very common theme, particularly with our generation, but I still think it's prevalent today. Yeah. I mean, for generations, women were kind of, in some ways, objectified. I mean, it basically, we were told, this is how you should look. This is the way you should behave. This is the way it is. This is the way you should talk. And then, as we come into the workforce, we're getting out there a lot more. We are still going into a male-dominated field, really. I mean, it's always been men. So we were conforming to what they want. You remember the 80s and we were wearing the power suits and everything like that. But the truth is that's not necessarily inherently feminine. That's not the female force. Not that there isn't yin and yang and all that, but we were conforming even in our behaviors. So it is really interesting, because I never thought until I was reading your book about the fact that I've had to very much dive deep to figure out who I was and not necessarily what was being projected on me. Did you see a lot of that when you were in the industry and working with athletes and, particularly women behind the scenes?
Oh, absolutely. I saw women sit in my chair that were dealing with, their kids at home and struggling with relationships, trying to, be what they're supposed to be, what people expect them to be. And also, we all struggling, we talk about that good girl syndrome, showing up, doing the right thing and being the good girl and the nice girl. But when you're really thinking, hey, wait a second, I want to tell my boss, hey, I don't really think this is right. I'd like to try doing it this way. Or, yeah, no, I want more pay for what I'm doing. Or, yeah, I have a really good idea for a story or something that's important to me. But, who really cares what I think? And so there was a lot of that going on, but there was more and more. I was seeing women saying, you know what? No. I'm going to push those boundaries. I say in my book that, we were kind of caught between what we could be and what we feel we should be. And so, even Katie Couric, I thought was so cool because she was going from being the host of the Today Show when I was working with her. I met her when she hopped over to CBS to take Dan Rather's place. And she was getting all kinds of criticism because she was the good girl in the morning show role. And I remember her saying to me, yeah, but I covered 9/11. I've covered huge stories. I'm not just, let's go to a cooking, segment and let's talk about the book of the month. And so, I've watched these women, her in particular, but many more. I worked with Condoleezza Rice. And we were talking about how women in many cases are going backwards, with this social media and, showing up very hot and sexy and trying to get people's attention and likes and comments. And, she actually wasn't talking about social media in particular. She was talking about on television.
It's interesting because in some ways I'm often conflicted because in some ways I look at it as I have no problem with anybody showing off their body. I think that's amazing. Good for you. You have the confidence. This is what makes you happy. Great. But I think the question is, and this is what you address in your book, does it make you happy? Or is it something that you are taking on from society? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that is a really valid question because I know personally as I throughout my 20s and 30s, I was trying to mold myself into somebody else's idea of what I should be. Right. And it wasn't until, I moved on from that person that suddenly I started to really question, do I really not like that? Or is it just because I was told not to? Or do I really, like to wear makeup every day or not wear makeup, whatever it may be. And I had to question that so I can figure it out. Is that, let's talk a little bit about, the beauty blueprint, because one of the things that I saw in there was that you had 3 steps and it was creating a plan, support from wonderful people, and inspiration. So if you wouldn't mind, I would love to go over a little bit, and a reminder to all of our listeners to definitely get the book, take a look, because it is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
So let's talk about planning. Like, how do you plan for something that you're not really sure where you go with it all?
Yeah. And I wrote this book from my own personal experience when I met a life coach who asked me, who are you? And I thought, I don't know. I'm a mom. I'm a makeup artist. I was on TV and I'm a wife, and she's like, no, not your roles. Who are you? Ooh. And what is it that you want out of life? And I was like, she said, what do you love to do? And I thought, are you kidding me? You mean my to-do list? At the time I had 3 little kids and, on the outside looking in, my life was perfect. But on the inside, really, I was struggling. I was in a relationship. My husband was an alcoholic and we never knew how he was going to walk in the door. And so I really was trying to be more and do more, thinking that maybe he would choose me over the alcohol. And it wasn't happening. Yeah. And so nobody knew what was really happening. And so when I met this life coach, I was like, I really want to change my life for my children, especially, but for myself. And, and so she said, okay, well, really, welcome to the first steps of breaking a cycle, because I could have possibly been breaking a cycle for my children to repeat that pattern. And I'm happy to say now they're all in their mid to late 20s and they are amazingly well-adjusted and healthy kids. But I had to make a plan. I had to figure out who I am, what I truly wanted for life according to who I am, and not according to what everybody else wanted. And then I needed to really look at, what are my values? What are my passions? And your values are your GPS system. That's your GPS system for life. If something's out of alignment, if you know what your values are, and I teach the process in my book on how to identify what your values are, when you know those values, you can tell right away if something is conflicting you, why it's conflicting you, because it's probably you're out of alignment with your value system. And so, for example, mine at the time was security, because I had 3 little kids. Security was a huge value for me. So for me to take a step to make changes, to get divorced, to move out of that unhealthy marriage, I had to figure out how to create a plan to create security for myself and my kids, because that was a strong value for me. Trustworthiness is another one. If I'm feeling strange in a relationship, meaning, that inner ding that you just go, ooh, something's not feeling right. It's, with this relationship with someone, then I have to check in and say, am I feeling as if this is a mutually trustworthy relationship? Do I have respect? And, so these are things that I think when we identify like who we are, meaning what's important to you, what is it you truly want out of life? And what is the real essence of you? And I love, for people to write down 20 things that, they find are very exceptional about themselves. And everybody has them. And if you can't think of them, don't worry about it. Ask your mom or your friends or family members.
It's always a good suggestion. It's always very hard sometimes. We're so hard on ourselves, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And someone once told me, like, oh, if you ever have to, like, have one of your friends write a bio for you.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a great idea.
I thought it was really clever. I was like, oh, yeah. Because I know what I would write for my friends. And they'd be looking at me like, girl, what are you doing?
Yeah. And that's what I do. I'll do speaking engagements with like 2,000 women in a room. And I'll bring up 2 ladies that are friends. And I'll say, hey, I want you to, hey, Kelly, tell me what you love about Debbie. And she can go on and on and on and on. And then I say, okay, tell me what you love about yourself. And she's stumped. So it's really about being your own best friend. And so that's why it's really important. In the book, I give step-by-step process on how I rediscovered. I say rediscovered because we really are more in touch with who we are when we're younger. And then we get kind of stripped of that because we start to try to conform to what we think we should be. And so who are you? What are your values? What are your passions, your dreams? And then where do you have unconditional love and support in your life? And, if for some people, for me at the time, it was my mom, but I also just didn't feel like, I felt like my friends that surrounded me kind of mirrored the negativity I had going on inside of me. And so I had to kind of break away from that. So I actually started going to this really cool Unity spiritual church and just started going to meet people there, and just wanted to start surrounding myself with more positive people. And I met some really cool people, and then, the support, and then the inspiration. Who inspires you? Who do you aspire to be? And I know it sounds cliche because people have been talking about it for years, but I have people create vision boards for themselves. I do it. I have vision boards every 6 months. My husband and I do one, my kids.
I keep on saying I'm going to do it, and I'm horrible. I don't. I want to, because I am a very visual person, so it would make sense. But
it's so fun, quotes and inspiration that comes to you, even if it's travel or if it's health and wellness or whatever it is that's important to you. Anything that can keep you really focused and feeling good is what I feel is super important because, as I was going through my journey, here I am as a makeup artist, really working with all of these amazing people and primarily, like I said, for the CBS affiliate. And next thing I know, it was 2006 and our economy was changing. And next thing I know, the TV station didn't have the funds to pay me anymore for the full-time makeup artist position I had. And so I am going through a divorce and I lost my job. And they said, well, we have this great opportunity for you. If you would like to be the talk show host of our new morning talk show, we'd love for you to do that. And at the time, they had put me on television doing beauty and style segments. And I was a natural at it, giving beauty and style tips. And so I thought, oh, this would be great because people on television make a lot of money. And so I took the job, not even asking about any of the, I didn't care. I took it because I had worked for them for 14 years. So I trusted. And it turned out that job was paying about the same amount of money that I would have made working at a fast food joint flipping hamburgers. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So I had to take it. I had nothing, I was just like, I don't know, as a freelance makeup artist, things were just spiraling with our economy. So I took it and thought, okay, something will come along. I'll just take it for now. And next thing you know, I'm on food stamps and I'm living off credit cards and I'm waking up every morning and going on live television and saying good morning and pretending I'm perfect and life is perfect. And I would run home and just get under the covers and cry until my kids got home from school, thinking, what have I done? Maybe I was better off in that, marriage and safe. And then my best friend called and said she had stage 4 cancer and 6 months to live. And when that happened, I realized I had studied under that life coach. I had the tools to change my life. I had my health. I had my kids. I needed to start focusing, just like I did on all those beautiful people that sat in my chair. Now I'm not talking aesthetically beautiful. I had to focus on what was right about me and what was beautiful about me inside and out and how far I'd come in my life and stop being so darn afraid and start creating a plan, finding support, and then what inspired me. And within, I swear to you, 6 months, I left that job. I'm working on national television. My life just expanded. And within a year and a half, I had a book deal to write this book. Wow. It was powerful when you start to really focus on what's right with your life.
And the book was a bestseller, no less. I mean, worldwide.
Yeah. It was, 6 weeks in 30 countries on Amazon, not New York Times, but on Amazon, which was amazing. This was in 2011. And I've been asked to write a book since. And I was like, no, this is the book that I continually myself, every year I go through this process because as we grow, and we change, or things happen in life that throw us for a loop. This process is tried and true. And it was taught to me from several different coaches I worked with. And then I just kind of tailored it to what I took and used to be powerful tools in my life. And then at the end of the book, I give people basically the beauty tips based on who they are. So there's actually a little guide there that you can figure out your own personal style according to who you are. And then you can create your look based on who you are. Because a lot of women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, they're like, I see all these great influencers and they're beautiful and they're in their 20s, but I can't relate to that.
I got to be honest with you. I know women in their 20s, early 20s, even late teens that are really struggling because it's kind of like you said, there are so many different influences out there. There's so many different styles and so much pressure, to look like that influencer. And it's very hard to identify what's right for you. I almost feel like it's universal in all honesty.
Absolutely. And it's harder and harder, which is what I was talking about earlier, just having conversations with women like Condoleezza Rice or Katie Couric or Kobe Kaye I worked with. I'm not sharing specifics of what I talked to them each about, but primarily the whole gist of what everybody, shares behind the scenes is that, in order for us as women to excel, we really have to stop comparing ourselves to others and getting into that comparison trap. And that's really what I was talking about more earlier than, just we don't have to show up looking like sex symbols because that's what we see on television. We don't have to show, and these women with perfect, quote unquote, perfect bodies, or, it's just that living in a comparison, trap, basically, by always looking at what other people look like or what's going on in their lives and comparing that to yours, you're just setting yourself up for not feeling good about yourself. And no matter where you are in life. And so it's so much healthier if we just, we can look at that and realize that there's no such thing as perfection. Everybody's putting out there what is their best self, maybe, and not always, maybe
not always
putting stuff out there that, like right now, I'm over here before we started this going, hey, how's my lighting look? I've got professional lighting. I've got a professional camera. I'm not going to lie.
Before I came out, I was lamenting the fact that I never got to get into my root touch up. That's not until afterwards. I'm like, dang it.
I know. And then I go out to my workout class, like this with makeup on, and they go, oh, whoa.
Like, look at you, fancy.
3 or 4 days a week, and they don't even recognize me when I have makeup on. They're like, wow, you look different. Because, that's what social media and television and film and all that stuff is, we professional people come in and make you look better. And it's just, that's great. I love beauty. Oh,
no, yeah. I mean, that's why we got into the industry.
Yeah.
But the bottom line, I know that I came into this industry because I wanted to empower women to basically look as beautiful as they did on the inside, and really give them that power and that sense of like, oh yeah, there I am,
Yeah.
So, I mean, in all honesty, I think, but the other thing I keep thinking about is with especially with social media, I try really hard now to have content that has my full makeup and everything like that, but also without.
Yeah.
Because in all honesty, I mean, both are beautiful, but it's just different. And some days I want to be painted and other days I don't. And that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. And I've also gotten to the point where some days I don't want to post just to post. I feel like in the industry we're in, a lot of people in the beauty industry, our jobs are to be out there all the time and sharing advice. And sometimes I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, I'm just going to post when I want to, not because I feel like I have to. And that was another thing I had to check in and say, what's right for me? Because I think so often we're just always feeling like we have to live up to what it's expected of us. And if more of us really stayed true to ourselves, then we will inspire others to do that as well. And that's what I really wanted to do with the book and everything I do on my website. I have a bunch of free downloads and stuff to support women to get there because it's not easy.
Well, let's talk about that because that was one of the things I absolutely love about you. Aside from the fact that you have the book, which again, I recommend everybody run onto Amazon and get it. I read it myself and it is phenomenal, but you also give free resources. You give resources for women to kind of join in. Could you tell us a little bit about that? So that way, if any of our listeners want to take a peek, maybe get a little leg up on some of what they want to get to.
Yes. In fact, if you do get the book, I just had a lady reach out to me the other day and she said, I don't have a support system. I don't have a lot of friends. I just have my husband, and I'm actually on this journey of trying to improve myself, and I don't want to share a lot of stuff with him. So I do have a Facebook private group where I have women on that group who have gone through the process in my book, and they support each other, and I support, I chime in as well. And so that's on my Michelle Phillips Beauty page on Facebook. If you put Michelle Phillips Beauty on Facebook, you'll get that. And then on michellephillips.com, which is my website, you will find I have a free download of a beauty guide, which gives you the first couple steps of my book, the process I was talking about, and also a little taste of how to identify your personal style, and then tips on how, if you're more of a classic, if you're more dramatic, those different types of looks. I give you some tips on those. more detailed in my book, but at least it's a free download to get you started. And then I've got a free beauty meditation also, which I love.
Oh, nice.
20 minutes, but it helps you kind of reprogram your mind about what's beautiful about you inside and out. So yeah, I have lots of resources, videos, podcasts, everything on my website, because I really, really, like we were talking before, it's like, I had dinner last night actually with this woman who used to be a pretty big deal on the E network. And a friend of mine said, you guys got to meet. So we had dinner and she was really cool. And she said, so how did you get into this? And I said, I was a makeup artist behind the scenes and I was asked to be on TV. Next, I wrote a book, then I'm speaking and I was like, she goes, oh my God, that's crazy. Most people go to school to be journalists. I went to beauty school.
Yep. Same here.
I went to college, but I didn't finish. I was in beauty school. And so I feel like I was put here to help others. This is why I was given these opportunities. I'm supposed to help others. And I went through what I went through because if you can't teach what you don't know. And so I just feel like so many people help me and I want to give back. And so, people email me, I answer their emails, I try to respond to people on social media. And every year or so I do a class where I go on live with maybe 40 women and take them through the process. So if anybody's interested in that, you can send me a little ping and I'll put you on that list. To go through the process.
I actually think those kind of things are really important in finding a tribe, because in all honesty, when you're trying to go through the process of transformation, especially in a pandemic, though I feel like we're coming out of it, which fingers crossed, but when we're trying to reinvent ourselves, so to speak, a lot of times it shouldn't be, but a lot of times it's traumatic for the other people around you that have known you all the years and they haven't. Remember what we were saying about, not allowing external things to determine your personal style, your thought process, everything, that it should be authentically from you. So finding people or finding your tribe, not saying that you have to let go of anybody, but finding people that are really looking to celebrate that journey is so important. I've always been very blessed with finding my tribes when I was kind of going through that period. Also, good friends for the most part that have always been supportive of me. Not everyone, but most. So if you are stuck, if you're at home and you're stuck and you don't have anybody that, you feel as though is going to support your journey, this is definitely a great option. It's free. Go take a look at it. I think that's really amazing.
Yeah, it's so true. Once you start the process, I'm sorry.
No, go.
Once you start the process, the biggest thing that comes up is fear. And I address that in my book, the steps to overcome the fears, the obstacles, the what ifs, all the things that we go through in our minds, because, my dad was probably my worst critic, being like, what are you doing now? Why would you do that? But, eventually I just did it anyway. And he became my biggest fan because I don't need to prove myself to anybody anymore. So I think that's also the biggest thing I've helped people with is overcoming that fear. And then these groups of women that go through the process together. I have women who have been friends now for 10 years that have gone through this process online together. And now they still, things come up. Somebody's going through a change in a relationship or going through struggles with raising kids. And I see everybody reaching out to each other online and supporting each other. So it's super important. Like you said, if you don't have that support in your life, which I didn't necessarily have that in every direction, it's really important that you find women that are like-minded that will support you. And sometimes that's on a virtual group.
I love it. Well, with that being said, I could probably chat with you for another half hour or longer.
I'll have you on my podcast.
I would come. That'll be fun. We'll just keep on expanding on subjects. It's so much fun.
Absolutely.
But yes, we're going to have to get in touch again soon and revisit other parts of the topic, because I do think that this is a deep one to dive into. So I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.